So they have to have, they still have to have water to reproduce because of the sperm. But like I said, they can be significantly larger. Okay, from here, our next step, we went to gymnosperms. Okay, so our gymnosperms came after the seedless vascular plants. Okay, and so these are what are called naked seeds. Okay, they are not enclosed in an ovary. So their seed is not surrounded by fruit. Okay, it's not enclosed in an ovary. It's open. And so examples of these would be things like conifers, ginkgos, cicadas. Okay, all of these would be examples of gymnosperms. So again, I've got my sporophyte generation here is still dominant. Okay, so sporophyte, I cannot spell tonight. Okay, so the sporophyte generation is still dominant, so my diploid generation is still dominant here. My seeds are exposed because they're not enclosed in an ovary, but they are on modified leaves, and so they usually form cones. Okay, so these are going to be things like pine trees that have pine cones on them. Okay, so the seed, like I said, the modified leaf that the seed is attached to will usually form a cone, and so this was one of the adaptations that allowed for no water for fertilization. Okay? Cones are adapted and suited for wind pollination, wind-blown pollination. And so the sperm does not have to have water. It doesn't have to swim to the egg. Okay? These also they're reinforced with the lignin, which is found in the xylem tissue, one of the vascular tissues. But that really is a reinforcement thing. It helps enable them to grow very, very tall. As you can see, if you've even noticed, okay, there is a girl down here. Okay, so this is a really, really big tree. And so it had to have vascular tissue to be able to transport the water. Okay, but it also had to be able to essentially be strong enough to hold itself up. Okay, and that's where the lignin comes into place. Okay, so now I have my angiosperms. So they're the newest, evolutionary-wise. These are your flowering plants. Pecan trees, roses, peach trees, tomatoes, anything, essentially almost anything you can think of that flowers. Okay, I still have a dominant sporophyte generation. Okay, so my diploid sporophyte generation is still dominant here. Okay, these do produce fruit and flowers. Okay, one of the major reasons of fruit and flower production is it helps with reproduction of the plant. Both of these are essentially modifications that help prevent self-fertilization. They encourage pollination. You know, most of you guys know that flower structure usually will attract, the petals. One of their jobs is to attract bugs and, to attract insects and birds. Fruit, the animals eat the fruit, and they, as they walk around, they distribute the seeds. Okay. These are the most abundant of all plants, the angiosperms, okay, and they have co-evolved with animals. Okay, so angiosperms have co-evolved with animals basically because they're a food supply. As angiosperms increased, okay, and begin to spread, that increased the food supply available for the animals. The more food supply, your animals will actually start to get bigger and stronger. Okay, so those are kind of your 4 basic categories of plants. So let's take a couple minutes and we're going to hopefully review, hopefully quickly, plant structure, like roots and stems and leaves. Okay, so I'm going to take for granted you guys know this. So plants basically, as hopefully you guys know, you've got 2 systems. You've got a shoot system and a root system. The root system is here underground, basically just consists of the roots. The shoot system is what is above ground there. Okay, and the shoot system is going to consist of your stems and your leaves. Okay, so your root system being underground, as a general rule, is not photosynthetic. Okay, and it's dependent upon the shoot system, essentially for food, for sugars and carbs. Okay, you guys aren't going to have to know all the ins and outs of all the anatomy of the plants and stuff. What you really need to be focused on is how these things all work together and how these systems of the plant are working together. So my root system is dependent upon, like I said, is dependent upon the shoot system for carbohydrates and sugars, whereas the shoot system is dependent upon the roots for water and minerals that it's pulling from the soil. Okay, so in the root system, obviously you're going to have a network of roots, okay, and so they're going to have a variety of jobs. Remember, they're going to help anchor the plant. Okay, they are going to help to storage. Remember, the products from photosynthesis will head down to the roots to be stored. Okay, their branching helps increase surface area. Okay, and by increasing surface area, that's going to help increase water and mineral absorption, which are crucial for the plant, as you all are very familiar with. Okay, so the shoot system, like we said, contains the stems and the leaves. Really, the stem's job is just to hold the leaves up so that they are able to be exposed to sunlight, as well as to connect the leaf to the root. Okay, the leaves are your photosynthetic organ. You know, that's where most of your photosynthesis is going to take place. So they're pretty important. Okay, you've got three basic kinds of leaves here. We've got a simple leaf, which is this one right here. Okay, it's undivided. It's all one big leaf. It may have some lobes, but it's a single undivided leaf. Your compound leaf, this one is your compound leaf here. Okay, your compound leaf is going to have a variety of leaflets on it. Okay, but those leaflets are not going to have an axillary bud at the base of the leaflet. Okay, so if I break that leaflet off, it's not going to grow back. And then you also have our doubly compound leaf over here, where the leaflets actually have leaflets. So the leaf is divided into a significant number of parts. Okay, so you don't have to memorize all these. I just wanted to kind of expose you to it. You don't even really have to write them down. Like I said, I really just want to expose you to it. The fact that leaves have different adaptations. You know, not all leaves are the same. Like, see, you've got some here for defense, the spines, tendrils for support. Okay, you've got these bracts, which look like petals. Okay, but they're actually leaves surrounding the flowers. Okay, stems also have a variety of adaptations to help them to be beneficial for the plant, with the rhizome and the storage portion and tubers, as well as roots too. Okay, so we've got a wide variety of these things that adapt to allow the plants to survive better. Okay, so in addition to those organs, plants also have three kind of basic types of tissues. You don't have to, again, you don't need to know all the details, all the ins and outs. Really just need to be more aware of the fact that that plant cells are all different, that plant cells also differentiate. You know, a lot of times we don't think about plants being as complex as, you know, an animal, but they do. Okay, so plant cells do have the ability to differentiate. The example we have sitting right here, this is dermal tissue. Okay, so dermal tissue, just very similar to ours, it's going to be on the outside. It's going to offer protection. It's going to prevent water loss. And you can see the specialized dermal tissue here. You can see what are called, you can see what are called trichomes here on this little plant there. Okay, the stomata, the guard cells in the stomata are part of the dermal tissue. Okay, so wide variety, but again, also again hammering home that fact that plant cells are able to differentiate. In addition to dermal tissue, you also have the plant also has ground tissue. There's examples of ground tissue over here on the side. Okay, and so in the ground tissue, you've got again differentiated cells for photosynthesis, cells for support, cells for lignin. Then also on this side, you have some examples of vascular tissue, the third kind of tissue that the plant will have. Examples of that would be like xylem and phloem. Xylem carrying water and minerals and is made of dead cells. Phloem carrying the products of photosynthesis from the source to the sink, from the leaf down to the roots, and those are made of living cells. So again, that ability to differentiate. Okay, so now we've got some of the basics of the plant down. we're going to take a look at water. How in the world does the water get up to the leaf for photosynthesis? Most of you are aware what transpiration is, right? Transpiration is when we lose the water from the leaves. Okay, so the loss of water from the leaves creates a force inside of the leaves that's going to pull that xylem sap up the tree. Okay, because remember the water came in down here at the roots, but the leaves up here are what need it for photosynthesis. Okay, and so the water is going to absorb, like I said, going to be absorbed through the roots, mostly through with the help of root hairs. Okay, root hairs are just like the villi in your intestines. You know, if I have a root here, okay, and then I have the hairs on it, I increase my surface area. And so if I increase my surface area, then I can increase my water absorption. Water absorption is going to be powered or driven by the gradients in water potential. And water potential is going to be a very big focus in the next video. It's one of those math things that we've got to get down. We've touched on it a little bit when we did the potatoes with the osmosis lab. Okay, so water potential, though, is influenced by both solute concentration as well as physical pressure. If y'all remember, you've seen the equation for this. It's on your formula chart too, but it's the one with the Greek letter psi and the P. So water potential is influenced by solute concentration and physical pressure. Got to take both of those things into account. And water is going to move from a high water potential to a low water potential. Okay, so water will move from a high water potential to a low water potential. So in this sense, what that tells us is inside of the roots is a low water potential. Outside in the ground is a higher water potential. So in addition to water, plants also need to be able to absorb minerals. They need minerals to synthesize organic compounds like amino acids, proteins, lipids. So those are also going to come from the soil. Okay, so mineral absorption is also going to occur in the roots through the minerals that are available in the soil. That's part of why we add fertilizer to the soil, because it increases the availability of the minerals for the plants. Okay, there's a couple of ways that these minerals can get into the plants. Okay, they can be taken up due to their membrane potential. Okay, you can see I've got a negative, positive, so these positive ions are attracted here. They can be brought across the membrane by the use of co-transport, whether they're co-transported with a hydrogen ion, or they are a neutral substance that is co-transported with a hydrogen ion. Either way, it's going to get across the cell membrane and into the cell. Plants also get some help absorbing these minerals and water through what are called mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae is a mutualistic relationship, and it's between the plant roots and a fungus. Okay, so you can see the fungus and the roots. Okay, and so we've got hopefully we remember that a mutualistic relationship, everybody gets a benefit. So in this case, the fungus is going to get sugar from the roots, so that's a benefit. Remember, the fungus is not an autotroph, it's a heterotroph. So it's getting sugar supplied to it from the root, from the plant. The plant is increasing its surface area for water uptake. Okay, so the benefits for the plant now, I'm increasing my surface area. Okay, it helps with the uptake of certain minerals. Okay, so it is helps with the uptake of certain minerals. Okay, it also stimulates the growth of the root and can provide antibiotics for the plant. Okay, so this is a mutualistic relationship that's going to help help get more water and minerals into the plant through the roots. Okay, so in addition to water and mineral absorption, the roots can actually do a little bit of gas exchange. Okay, so we normally think of gas exchange happening up here at the leaves, right, with the stomata, so with our CO2 going in and our oxygen coming out. but down in the roots, it's actually the opposite. Okay, CO2 is coming